Hey, what's up everybody, it's Axel, and today I'm going to be talking about the xDuoo XD05. This is a portable balanced DAC and tube headphone amplifier that has over 1,500 milliwatts of power. That's a lot of power, you know, that is reaching levels that surpass even some desktop setups. And we'll talk about it, and then I will compare it to the Muse M5 Ultra and the Topping G5, two portable devices. And this comparison will let us kind of understand, you know, the differences in features and sound, and make us, you know, see what makes the xDuoo XD05T kind of stands out from the rest of the portable devices. So let's begin. Let's summarize what comes in the box. I will summarize it with a picture. You basically get everything you need. You get a few short cables and adapters, a long cable, a 1/4-inch adapter, USB-C to Type-A adapter, and a manual. So everything you need for a device like this. And in terms of the build quality and the design, I think the build quality is absolutely fantastic. It feels premium. It's a chunky boy, and it feels heavy. You know, like I would call this portable, but more accurately I will describe it as transportable, meaning I can move this from desk to desk. I can take it with me. You can take it, sit on the couch, you know, enjoy your headphones or IMs, take it for a walk in your pocket. Yeah, you can do that, or carry it around. Cubes are very stable. You don't get any ringing noises. You don't get any disconnection. If you tap on it, you will not get any disconnection or anything like that. So it's absolutely wonderful in that regard. I think the implementation here is solid, but it's a bit big, and I have to say that even next to my G5, you know, you can see it's a bit big. All right. In terms of the front, we get our headphone outputs on the left side, and it's a 6.35 millimeter single-ended output, and then you balance one. So if you have IMs, you know, like that, or any headphones that have a 3.5 millimeter cable, you need like a 1/4-inch adapter like the one provided, or like this one, and you have to insert it and probably maybe even keep it like that. So keep that in mind. And then we get this power toggle, which if you do that, the device is going to power on. Then you get the turbo, which is the gain indicator, like it's a gain switcher, like low, mid, and high gain. We get the bass. The bass toggle here increases the bass. It increases the slam, the punch, and the impact, even the thump. So I went ahead and I measured the Truth Ear Nova with the bass switch of the xDuoo XD05T turned on, kind of to show you guys what happens instead of me like describing it. You have like, you know, a frequency response graph that shows you what I'm hearing. So basically, as you can see, there is a considerable boost in terms of sub bass and a moderate increase in the mid bass. And I think the Truth Ear Nova is a very Harman neutral sound signature. That's why I chose it for this example, to show you what's going to happen. So keep in mind, probably this effect is not going to be consistent exactly like that with other IMs. For example, I noticed if I have an IM that has already a lot of bass, when I increase the bass even further, it becomes too much, and that affects the detail and clarity I get. But I will say for IMs that have a neutral response like the Truth Ear Nova, I think the response they get is fantastic. You get a moderate boost in the mid bass, fantastic boost in the sub bass. You get a lot of warmth, a lot of full body presentation to the mid range, and I think the effect is very enjoyable. But it's not exactly going to be for IMs that already have a strong mid-bass response, and that's just my impression about it. And use it. It definitely adds fun factor when you use it, and you know, it's nice. On this side, we get this volume wheel, which is tactile, and it has this texture feeling to it. So every time you move it, you get this tactile feedback, so you know exactly how many steps you're moving. On the left side, you're getting a Bluetooth button for pairing. It acts also as a play and pause. When I used it, you get the filter switch button here, and you get the input switcher. And on the left side, on the back side, you get the DC input, and I kind of appreciate that they provided the barrel, you know, the barrel port, and you get the DC input in terms of USB-C, because I think USB-C is more common and it's easily found, and you don't need to buy another, you know, adapter for it, and it allows you to fast charge as well. So this is nice in that regard. You get a combo port right here of coaxial and optical input. You get a USB C input, you get a single-ended and balanced 3.5 and 4.4 input and output ports. Basically, you can use this connected to another device, like a DAC or something, or amp, or the opposite, connected from a DAC to here. Like if you have like a device from 3.5 to RCA, or like you have 4.4 to XLR, you know, so you can take advantage of that, and this is one of the benefits of the xDuoo XD05T. And then you get this toggle if you want to charge it, or use it like, you know, by USB without charging, so it can prolong the battery life. And then you get here. So let's move on and toggle the device on, turn it on. And this is what you get. You get the filter on the left, you get the volume indicator on the right, you get the low, mid, high indicator on the right, along with the battery indicator. You can see that here. So there you go. The tubes do have a light, but it's not very strong. Give me a sec. So this is how the tubes look like. It's not really, I'm not sure if this is an LED or not, but it's not really a powerful light, you know, so it does have some light, but it's not really that, like, the Muse uses LED, you know, I'm sure of that, because the light here is exaggerated a bit. Maybe some people will like that, but this is how they look next to each other, you know, so anyway. When in use, I want to say that the device does get a bit warm, especially when you use it on high gain. It's nothing that's too hot or anything. I would say moderately warm. But now maybe we're in cold weather, so maybe in the future that could change. I'm not exactly sure, but I wanted to mention this fact. If you use high gain, you start to notice the device is a bit warm to the touch, especially here in this area. And then about the battery life, I got around 3.5 hours, a bit more even, using medium to high gain and using the balanced output. So, you know, that's a battery life that right there. And it takes around, they say on the manual, I didn't count it exactly, but they say it takes more than 3 hours to charge it. So that is something also about the battery. And in terms of power, this device is a beast, and it's one of the few portable devices that can truly power something like my headphone, you know, that are hard to drive, like the HDX6XX. It's not exactly hard to drive, but if you use a lot of power with a headphone like that, you know exactly that the bass starts to come back and the dynamics on the stage when you give it a lot of juice. And this man drives it like a champ, all right? So it definitely has potential in these areas and separates itself from the rest. In terms of the sound of the xDuoo XD05T, I will describe it, guys. This is the closest portable tube DAC amp that I've ever tried that sounds true, very similar to a desktop tube DAC amp. And the sound is very similar, meaning it's very tubey, very gooey, very smooth. Still has good amount of detail, but it's not hyper detailed. It's more of a very full sounding mid-range, a very rich sounding mid-range, very lush. The sound is dynamic as well. The stage is amazing. So it has a few qualities that really truly separate itself from the rest. And in terms of the treble, it's very smooth. Very smooth. I don't think any IM I've ever tried or any headphone could sound sibilant or harsh. Even if the IM is bright itself, the edges are so smooth, man. So smooth. I mean, it's very smooth. The edges are a bit rounded, I can agree, but the overall sound is very pleasing and enjoyable. And tubes are like that. You're not getting tubes for the detail. Something like the xDuoo XD05T, I would describe it as colored. It's very colored, not only colored, and it's very warm sounding. Like not just neutral, leaning on the warm side of things. No, this is absolutely warm. This sounds warm. This sounds tubey. You know, this sounds dynamic, but still very smooth, very rich, very full. Bass impact is fantastic on this device. Fantastic. You get a lot of powerful slam with it. You get a punch. You get an impact. Brings some of the headphones alive with that quality. And it's very lush. Very enjoyable sound, man. Very enjoyable sound. Now I will start the comparison first with the Topping G5. Let me get that here. These two are very different, and I thought the G5 is big, but man, look at the size difference here. Like the G5 is a bit more portable. I love the volume knob here. It's very smooth and I like the feeling with it, but this one also has a volume knob on the other side here, so you know, it kind of compensates. Now the G5 is powerful, has 1 watt, around 32 ohms. Here you have like over 1,000 500 milliwatts, so this one is more powerful. Even at 300 ohms for a headphone, this one is way more powerful. This one, I think, this is input, not output. You get lineouts here, right? You get the option of lineouts, and you can use this without affecting the battery of the device. So you get a few things here that, you know, are interesting. So this is nice. In terms of sound, I will say the sound signature of both of them are completely different. The G5 is linear, is uncolored, and I got better bass with the G5. Better bass, I mean stronger impact, stronger thump, punchier bass, cleaner bass, more texture and detail in the bass. These are things that I went and did the comparison A/B between them, volume match, the same volume, and still the G5 pulled up ahead. The G5 also is linear and uncolored without being analytical, and it's kind of revealing the source or the headphones or IMs you're using it with. Great dynamic sound, very, very detailed, out-resolves the xDuoo in that regard. But that's not the point. I think the point of something like this is not the detail. It's about the enjoyment. It's about the pleasure. It's about the satisfaction, the pleasing, even the distortion. If it's pleasing, it's absolutely enjoyable. But I have to say that because if someone wants to get something that's a lot more resolving, I think the G5 is a few steps ahead when it comes to that detail and separation. And it's accurate as well, without being harsh, without being sibilant, without being analytical. It's truly, you know, true to the source. That's why it's there. This one is for the tube people who like the tube sound. They want that richness. The mid-range is warmer. A lot warmer, actually. Very warm sounding, very rich, very full. So, you know, different use cases. You get a lot of good stage, you get a lot of dynamic sound, a lot more power on the xDuoo, and, you know, you get lineouts and other options as well, but it's bigger and heavier and warmer. Gets warmer as well, like feeling to the touch here. So these are the differences. Now, I will use something like this one, the Muse M5 Ultra. Before I talk about the sound differences, and I'm putting this here in the middle because in terms of detail, I will talk about that in a second. This is where it lands. First, I want to talk about the features between those two. There are a few differences. Before we talk about the sound, there are a few differences here. Number one is that for the Muse M5 Ultra, you can use this in transistor mode. It has a hybrid tube mode, meaning you can use the tube or you can use the transistor. So, and you can hear, you know, an audible immediate difference between the two. You can just switch it, you can immediately hear the difference. So I think this has more value and in terms of flexibility or versatility. And one day, after hours and hours of use, they say thousands of hours, if the lifetime of the tube ends, you can replace it or you can use the transistor. So it still has potentially longer battery life in that regard, right? Or at least use case. Another thing that it has is it has 3.5, so you don't need an adapter, you know, to use it. It's lighter in the hand. I can use it with one hand. It's definitely more portable. And when you think about the battery life, I got over 8 hours with the M5 Ultra every single time, and still has, I think, 20 to 30% more because every time I leave it after 8 hours, you know, it still has a lot of battery left. And I use it on 8 hours. I'm talking about balanced output, high gain. All right, so it definitely, with Bluetooth even, so it has a lot of battery here. And in terms of charging, it charges faster. I get like 1.5 hours, or less than 2 hours, definitely it's done. They say here it's more than 3 hours, 3.5 hours, something like that. So you can definitely feel that the M5 Ultra is on the more portable side of things, right? But in terms of features, I gotta also talk about the XD05. I think it does a few things that the M5 Ultra doesn't. Number one, it has lineouts, right? So these outputs could be used along with the coaxial input and the optical input, and you get the 3.5 and 4.4 single-ended and balanced inputs and outputs, so you can use this to connect it to other devices, DACs and amps and stuff like that. You can't do that with the M5 Ultra. Another thing is the level of power. You get way more power, and I think this device is more suited for power-hungry headphones. Can do a lot with it. You get the bass switch if this is something you're interested in. Let's talk about the differences in the sound. The first thing I want to talk about is it's surprising for me. The M5 Ultra sounds a bit more detailed, and let me explain what I mean by that, because I was shocked and I did my comparison, A/B compared them at volume matched, And every time the M5 Ultra just pulls ahead in terms of the detail and separation, and it's something that's noticeable to me. And I noticed, when I went back to the xDuoo XD05T, is that it sounds a lot warmer. The sound is warmer. It sounds way warmer. It's a significant difference. The mid-range is more tubey. It's richer. It's fuller. And the treble is way smoother. But when it becomes so smooth like that, those micro nuances start to get a bit smoothed out, honestly, the treble, let's say Simple Crash, I'm hearing it here, it's clear, right? I'm getting the detail, I'm getting the smoothness, it's never harsh or anything. Same thing here, but I'm getting instead of the rounded edges, I'm getting the clarity, I'm getting the definition of the notes, and I'm getting I'm hearing the clarity way more. The mid-range is way more detailed. That difference, though, I'm not saying one of them is better than the other. All I'm saying is one of them sounds warmer, smoother, richer, and fuller, which is this xDuoo. The other one still gives me that tube, beautiful sound, pleasing tonality, but gives me a bit more detail as well, and I love that. And when I reviewed this, the moment it impressed me is when I compared it to the BTR7, and I found out that, wow, sounds way more detailed than the BTR7, but still gives me something warm, something rich, something pleasing, something enjoyable to the sound. That's a fun factor, and that made me like this. I was like, okay, now I can use tubes with IMs, because I'm getting detail and just a slight coloration, and I can use the transistor mode to change that. But I think the xDuoo just takes this further and colors the sound even further. But if you like the tube aspect of it, there's no right or wrong answer here. If you like the tube aspect, this sounds more tubey, even if more tubey means less detailed, but it's more tubey. Another thing is more dynamic sounding than the Muse. Keep that in mind. So a lot more powerful as well. So it has a few advantages when it comes to that, but it's warmer, more lush, richer. And I would describe them like that. Very warm, very colored, rich, smooth, dynamic, good stage. Very resolving, takes the top spot, Very detailed sound, best separation, uncolored, linear, and, neutral, basically. And this one sits in the middle, and I think this kind of describes where it lands. It has some elements from the xDuoo, elements of the tube richness, has the full lush mid-range, has that tubey, pleasing tonality and sound, but it still has some of the detail of the G5. Not as detailed, but has a lot of detail, has a lot of separation. And the transistor mode even pushes that further. If I want to round off the edges, make it smoother, make the highs a bit more pleasing, make the sound a bit warmer, more warm even, I can use the tube mode. If I want less of that effect but still there, it sounds even tubey with the transistor mode, it sounds a bit warm, I can use the transistor mode. So I think all these three devices are amazing, and for different people, I think these are portable, and this one is the most portable. These two are more powerful devices, and they actually offer a lot that will make you want to use them like that. That's my review of the xDuoo XD05T. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Amazing device, tube sound, and until then, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.